nearly 40% of the daily acts of incivility occurred in the workplace.
Oh, think about that, Mel.
That's almost half of your experiences.
But I get it. Honestly, I have worked on teams where they were in the code red situation that
Oh,
I was just
yeah,
like, wow,
same.
these people are dicks. Ah, Mel. Good Memorial Day. Good
Happy
Memorial Day
Memorial
to you.
Day. Yeah, to you
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
How's it
Yeah.
going?
It's going well. Boys are
Okay.
out planting some seeds. It's
Oh,
a
that's
thing.
fun. What are you planting?
And so picked out two types of carrots, regular carrots and then heirloom carrots because he had never eaten
Oh,
a yellow or a white carrot before, and pumpkins.
and pumpkin. Did I ever tell you about my random pumpkin patch?
Tell
Oh,
me the
I haven't
story.
told
I think you have, but
you.
tell me this.
It's like Snow White in our yard. There's like animals everywhere. Where there's a groundhog in here. We found a couple rabbits. There's a skunk mama with her babies that comes through the yard. And then this one squirrel that eats all of the bird seed. And one year we left our pumpkin out. And the following year, we started to see like blooms of what looked like vining on the ground in front of our house. And we are like, oh, let's see what this is and let it just go. Straight up, one half of our front yard was a full pumpkin patch from the squirrel just eating our leftover pumpkin from the prior year. So there you go. We had one year of free pumpkins, and then it
Oh, it's like a little Johnny Appleseed. Yeah. Not to be gross. Was it like ate it and spit it out, ate it and pooped it out? What do we think? What do we think?
I'm thinking maybe both.
A little fertilizer. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, but it
Well,
worked.
it's
But it
fun.
worked. We got some free pumpkins. That was fun. Yeah.
It is fun. I understand people getting super into gardening, and
Yeah. I
that
love
makes
to
sense.
garden. It's fun. Let's do
It's
it.
healthy too. It's
Yeah,
super
it's good for
healthy.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah. Good.
I agree. I agree.
We're
We're back.
here. We're
There's a lot
square.
going on. There's
There's
news.
a lot going on.
Jeez. Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Goodness. All
Yeah.
right, friends. This is your work friends. I'm Mel,
Hey, and I'm Francesca.
and we're your two HR friends getting you through the work shit. We are talking about a couple of headlines on the horizon. Francesca, what are you talking about today?
Yeah. Should we all just become AI power users? That's the question at
Mm.
hand. Listen, Microsoft and LinkedIn came out with their 2024 Work Trend Index annual report. That is a mouthful. But they had some really interesting insights that I wanted to share with everybody. And more importantly, if you do want to become that super user, there's a pretty easy way. So I want to jam about it. Mel, how about you?
I am talking about SHRM's Civility Index report that came out in Q1. So,
Civility.
the state of civility. Yes.
Ooh,
Lots
yeah.
good
Should we
stuff.
fight over it? No, I'm just joking. I get it. All right. Well, let's
Yeah.
do it.
Let's do
Let's
it.
do it.
SHRM has a civility index that they put out that measures how civil we are at work and beyond. Did you know about this index?
No, I didn't. Society of Human Resources, right? I
Yeah.
didn't even know that they measured that. But wow, what an interesting thing to measure, especially, well, you and I know this from being in HR, right? There's a lot of uncivilness that comes. So yeah, I fascinating. What did you find out?
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to start off with for anyone who doesn't know, in case you are unaware, what is civility?
Yeah.
Merriam-Webster defines civility as courtesy and politeness. It's generally accepted that it means treating others with respect, empathy, humanity, especially in moments where you disagree. So, in simple terms, folks, treat others the way you wish you were treated. What it all comes down to, the good old lesson from your mom, right? So, what's in this index? They conducted a survey with 1,611 US workers,
Hmm.
and they they place this on a scale of zones. So where are you in a civility zone? It's rated on a scale of 0 to 100, right? Okay,
Yeah.
first there's zone 1. This is a 0 to 10 rating, and this means we're operating in a state of civility where incivility is rare. Let's just
Mm.
say nobody's in this zone right now.
And this is
So
like by your organization. So if you have a 7 organization, pretty good, really nice to be
or
really.
even as a country,
Oh,
Even as a
interesting.
team, they're measuring it from a US worker standpoint
Mm,
and the incivility that they're experiencing in the workplace, but also in their day-to-day life. So really taking that scale, but they drill down into the work component. So I'll get to that in a second.
that's
I'm curious if you could take this into your organization, if they had an assessment tool that you could do to help you with that rating. I think it would be so amazing. All right, I'll get to all that in a second.
yeah.
So zone 1, 0 to 10, rare incivility. It doesn't happen. Okay. Zone 2 is a score of 11 to 30. This is what they call the stay alert zone, where there's occasional incivility. Zone 3 is a score of 31 to 50. This is what they call their take action zone to prevent incivility from escalating further. At this stage, incivility is common practice. Zone 4 is a scale of 51 to 70. This is what they're calling this is not a drill stage where frequent incivility occurs. And then zone 5, 71 to 100, this is their code red zone. So this is just constant incivility is taking place. So they just released the Q1 2024 index report on a scale of 1 to 100 for the US index score. What do you think the US ranked as?
Just so many good jokes here, Mel. Just so many good jokes. Honestly, listen, 54? 54?
Hey, you're close.
Get out of this city.
42.3. So we are in zone 3. We are in the take action zone. We're on the higher end of that because the top of that zone is a score of 50. This is where incivility is common. So in the US, and we live here. So yeah,
We do.
that's my
We do live here.
experience. Is that your experience? Sounds about right. Yeah.
It's somebody like dailiness. I don't see that, right? But keep in mind, I live in Portland. If you say
Yeah.
Portlandia, that's very true. The stop sign is you go ahead. No, please, you go ahead,
I
right?
live in
But
the East Coast where the guy's like honking at me and giving me the finger,
yeah.
telling me to learn how to drive.
By the way, I think the most uncivil place to drive is Boston. No offense to Boston drivers, but like Boston is get the fuck out of the way. I think it's hilarious to drive in Boston.
If you can drive on the East Coast, you can drive anywhere. I'll just
Yeah. Yeah.
um
Oh, yo.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense though, especially when you look at
Yeah.
things politically. I
Yeah,
get
we're
it.
there.
I,
We're
I
there.
see it. I
So
see it.
stats for workers, nearly 40% of daily acts of incivility occur in the workplace.
Wait, whoa.
When they measured where incivility takes place
In general, like
in
the
general, because
grocery store,
they pulled
whatever.
them on where does it occur in your daily life. So it could be outside of work or inside of work. And nearly 40% of the daily acts of incivility occurred in the workplace.
Oh, think about that, Mel.
That's almost half of your experiences.
But I get it. Honestly, I have worked on teams where they were in the code red situation that
Oh,
I was just
yeah,
like, wow,
same.
these people are dicks. Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I get it. And that's freaking sad, man. That's sad.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. So, 44% of US workers who witnessed or experienced incivility at work said their coworkers were involved.
Ooh.
Only 25% of US workers believe their managers are effective at handling incivility in the workplace.
Shit, this is so awesomely bad. Keep going. Keep going. By the way, this is from the Society of Human Resources. So these are
Yeah,
the people that
they know what
totally
they're talking about. And US workers collectively experience 171 million acts of incivility per day. It doesn't always have to be a big action that is incivility. It could just be you're in a conversation with someone and you rolled your eyes. That's incivility. Like these behaviors or actions that essentially don't treat people with respect or empathy or humanity and in moments of disagreement. That's what that looks like, folks. Why this matters. 66% of US workers agree that incivility is reducing their productivity. So organizations really should care about this.
yeah, no shit. Honestly, when you're working with an
Yeah.
uncivil team or somebody that's just like a jerk or someone that rolls their eyes at you, by the way, I'll be thinking about that the rest of the day. You will.
I have 100% experienced that with someone, or I've even witnessed someone just treating someone else like complete shit in a meeting. And you're like, what the hell, man?
Yeah.
Can we just not be nice to each other? We're all under the same stress.
Such a waste of energy.
It
Such a waste
totally
of
is. I
energy.
and
Yeah.
as a even when you're a people leader, it's just that's one of the worst things that you have to
Oh,
manage. 59% of employees agree that it causes a decline in their morale.
yeah. Of
Of
course.
course, you feel like your life's hard enough, and then you come in and you're dealing with that shit. And workers who rate their workplace as uncivil are over 3 times more likely to be dissatisfied with their job, and we know what dissatisfaction with your job leads to. That leads to turnover. So, there are some real bottom line business implications to not addressing incivility in the workplace. So, I really love that they're launching this conversation.
Mhm.
They have by the way, I'm quoting all of the stats from their report, and I'll link to that in the show notes so you can download that yourself, and they have a few other stats out there that are really interesting, and they have an entire page dedicated to resources to help you out. They have a great resource for employees and for leaders to leverage. It's a play on Cards Against Humanity. It's called Cards Against Incivility. I went through the cards. It's a great self-reflection tool. Or you can do this with your team if you're a team leader and just have a general discussion on how to create a more civil work environment and culture for your team. Look, if your organization's not going to do it at an org level, then take it into your own hands to have that discussion with your team. Or if your team leader isn't making this a priority, all you can do is focus on yourself and how you show up. And I would use this as a great reflection tool. They offer a number of different articles and resources too with experts that provide guidance on various situations where incivility arises and how you can get ahead of that. For example, as we all know, we have an election coming up this November. They have advice with experts on how to manage political discussions in the workplace, for
Yeah.
example, and or when that shows up and how to address it. Highly recommend going through those articles, not just because I'm SHRM certified. I love SHRM. They have really great resources around this. So the best thing you can do is start to have the conversation when incivility shows up. SHRM launched their 1 million civil conversations campaign to encourage this dialogue, and it focuses on helping companies, ourselves, and our communities to move towards a more civil living situation.
I love that. And
Right?
can I add one other thing here? Just
Yes, please
because,
do.
listen, I have found that adage that potentially your grandparents always used to say that you earn more bees with honey than you do with vinegar
Mhm.
is very true. Early on in my career, I think I was very much a bull in a china shop. By any means necessary, get it done, execute, that kind of thing. And I have learned in my wise age that you get so much further and longer if you act with civility. That does not mean you need to agree, but that means you need to be respectful, that you need to
Mhm.
understand that potentially somebody else is coming from a different point of view and get through this in a healthy way. And pulling back to high school antics will get you frickin' nowhere.
Oh, yeah, and we've seen it. I
We've seen it.
yeah, you're just like, "Come on. This is
It's
not helpful."
no.
It doesn't
Uh,
build trust. There's so much damage from this one thing.
yeah.
So I love that the dialogue is happening because I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done in the workplace to teach people how to disagree and respectfully.
Well, you and I both love our studies. We love our studies this week. LinkedIn and Microsoft dropped their 2024 Work Trend Index annual report. And the title here is AI at Work is Here. Now comes the hard part. Couple things. I want to give you some insights around what came out of this report. And more importantly, the things that you should probably start thinking about as an employee around AI and especially around how to become a power user. Now is the time to start thinking about how do you do this. Before I get into that, they looked at 30,000 plus people and organizations. The reason why I really like looking at this report is when you think about who has the data on employees and companies in terms of how they work, the closest that you could probably get to that is LinkedIn in terms of jobs, job seekers, the skills that people have. LinkedIn probably has the best data on that of anybody, quite
Oh,
honestly.
sure.
So that's really interesting. And then with Microsoft, most companies are sitting on a Microsoft platform in terms of Teams, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, right? When
Right.
you look at data around how companies operate and the marketplace for employees, Microsoft and LinkedIn are probably your best bets right now to look at that. I trust what they're saying here in terms of work trends. And here's what they find. It is the year of AI, especially around generative AI. Mel Frick with ChatGPT,
Oh,
Copilot,
yeah.
right?
Although I listened to the Pivot podcast this morning and they were meeting with an expert that said that AI is actually it's good, but it's also still pretty dumb.
It's Clippy on steroids at this
Yeah.
point,
Yeah.
right? And you start to see this even in I think I was in Canva the other day, and they're like, "Do you want our AI generator
Oh
to
gosh, I've
predict?"
used that. Yeah.
And by the way, AI has been in a lot of tools already, just in the background. Right, so some interesting insights. Even though it's still pretty dumb, you start to see a lot of organizations are making big investments in AI as a way to stay competitive.
Yeah, it's smart.
It's smart. It's smart. However, I will argue that we're very much in our infancy with this. So again, while more AI is necessary, the pressure to show immediate return on investment is making leaders move a little bit slow. So 79% of leaders agree their company needs to adopt AI to stay competitive, which makes sense. But 59% worry that they're not going to get the productivity out of it. 60% of leaders also worry their organization's leadership lacks a plan and a vision to implement AI.
Agree. I think you can invest in it, but what is your strategy behind using it? Where are you going
Yes.
to use it? Where are you not going to use it? What boundaries are you putting in play here? And that will help you with where you're going to actually invest your time, resources, and money.
Yeah, honestly, when you dig into a lot of this, it feels like a lot of leaders are throwing something at the wall to see what
Just use AI
sticks.
for it.
Yeah. Why? Why are you
They need
using
like a
AI?
true process review to see where it makes sense.
Agree. Any technology implementation starts with what business
What are
problem
the
are you
requirements?
solving,
Right.
right? And we see this so much where people are like, oh, we need to implement technology for technology's sake, as opposed to, is this really solving a
Right.
business challenge? And what is that business challenge? And is AI or whatever tech you're bringing in really the right
Is it
thing?
the right solution?
Yeah, sometimes it is. You and I know this, a lot of times it's not.
Mhm.
So here we are again with just another tool. But I will say, I think it's interesting that there's this kind of race for AI. And then there's this feeling that a lot of leaders aren't really equipped to implement it in the way that it needs to be implemented. So that's interesting. The other piece here is that 78% of AI users bring their own AI to work. It's BYOAI. And this is even more common with small to medium sized businesses, where 80% of workers are bringing their own AI to work, which obviously has its own data concerns. But I think it's interesting when you look at, again, leaders are saying, I need this to stay competitive, but equal number of employees are saying, yeah, I'm already using it. So we all see the value here and we're all
Mhm.
kind of testing it out. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
And before you think AI is only being used by Gen Z, think again. I thought this was fascinating. BYOAI is not just for Gen Z. Yes, Gen Z, so that's our 18 to 28-year-old, 85% of Gen Z knowledge workers are using AI, but millennials and Gen X, 78, 76,
I believe it. You're using it. I'm using it.
1,000%. Boomers, 73% of
Oh,
boomers are
wow.
using it
That's
too.
surprising.
Yes.
Surprised by that.
So this is like an equal opportunity game. This is for everybody, right?
Yeah.
And we're all getting into it, which I love that.
Okay.
75% of knowledge workers who use AI at work today, 46% of them started using it less than 6 months ago, and they're already starting to see gains, right? 90% say it saves some time, 85% allows them to focus more on work, and 83% they enjoy their work more if they're using it.
I believe it. Think of the AI tool, something so simple. I use, for example, the Otter AI transcription tool for meetings. That'll record your meeting. It takes all the notes. So I'm not having to worry about that. I can just be engaged fully in the conversation. You're also not punting that off to somebody else on the team who also would like to be engaged. And then it sends a summary to everybody automatically. And it's pretty good in terms of accuracy. And you can make changes if you need to. And it summarizes the key points that were discussed in addition to action items with due dates. And then you can connect that to other systems to add that to project management tools and things like that. So when you think about Something that in the past would then someone has to take the notes, someone has to synthesize the notes, send that out to everybody, get that into your project management tool. What was once a 2 to 3 hour task for one individual is now cut down to maybe 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That's huge.
That's a huge gain.
Mhm.
That's a huge gain.
And that's a
The
small way to implement AI in your day
and
to day.
and the other thing, to your very good point that this report came out with, one of the other drivers of BYOAI is that employees are finding it harder and harder to keep up, right? 68% of people are struggling with the pace and the volume of work. We know that a lot of people, 46%, according to this survey, feel burnt out. And they also found in this report, which I thought was interesting, again, because Microsoft has the data on this, 60% of our time is being spent in things like email, chat, and meetings, and only 40% in things like Word or PowerPoint. So when you think about, are people creating or are they in the minutia of the work? They're in the minutia of work. And something like Otter, that's saving you hours and hours of time where you can get more creative. And so it makes sense that people are saying, hey, when I pull into tools like Copilot, pull into tools like Otter, I feel like I'm saving time. Again, 90% of people feel like they can save time. They can focus on that important work. They can enjoy their work more. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. It makes 100% sense.
Yeah. The last thing here is that AI is really starting to impact the job market. The majority of leaders say they're concerned about having enough talent to fill roles in the year ahead. There is a fear and a narrative out there that AI is going to cause job loss. And that's top of mind for a lot of people, but there's a hidden talent shortage for any employee that's looking for a career change. It's AI.
Yeah.
It's AI. Listen, leaders already made a land grab for any kind of AI talent. And 66% of leaders say they wouldn't hire someone without AI skills. 66%.
Yeah. That's pretty high. It's an expectation.
It is. So here's the deal, friends. AI is, again, we're in its infancy. We know that when you're starting to use it and play with it, you're having some benefits here. And we also know that in the job market, it's a hot commodity. And I think especially now, again, this is if I were playing in the stock market, this is where I'd say this is a bet you want to invest in for yourself now.
100%.
Oh, go
It
ahead.
doesn't have to be a big cost to entry. Just
That
look, don't wait for your listen. By the time your organization spends the time and money to do the actual process redesign that it needs to where AI is going to come in and they're going to define what being supported, look at your week and the own processes that you're following and see what you want to test with AI so you can test and learn.
a
Just test.
1000%. To Mel's very good point. You can become a power user in AI very easily. And let me tell you how people have done it. And it's three very interesting habit switches.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And again, when we talk about being there's skeptics, there's novices, explorers, and power users. Power users are familiar with AI and they use it at least several times a week. Okay. That could be literally like you're asking ChatGPT 5 times a week about something. Then you'd be
Right.
considered a bit of a power user. Three quick habit switches to become a power user in AI. Number one, the most important thing you could do before you start a task, ask yourself, could AI help me with this? Number two, research and try new prompts when you're in AI as well. So try to think about how you can use different prompts to get the answers you want. And three is regularly experiment with different ways of using AI. There is an AI for everything. Mel, you have that site. There's an AI for that, right?
Yeah, I love that site. This is not a formal promotion, but I love that site because I get a weekly newsletter. It tells me about all of the new AI tools that are coming out. And there's so much fun stuff to test. I think Francesca, what did I send you? Like weird kid stories about my cats. What
Yes. Yeah.
it had visuals and like illustration. It was so funny. We'll link to that in the show notes for anyone who's interested, but highly recommend that newsletter. And I think remember to just have fun instead of fear, have
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. It's
Now's the time to
have
have fun. Remember
Now
like
is
when
the
the
time
internet first came out,
Oh, yeah.
we were young and we were like, this is amazing. Although also really a weird place of during when it first
Oh my
came
god.
out.
Yeah, incel central. Yeah, but
Just
1000%.
became super users because of our curiosity and our play. So this is an opportunity to play.
Yes, this is absolutely an opportunity to play. And again, ask yourself, could AI help me with this? And the answer is yes.
Thanks so much for joining us today. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. You can come over and say hi to us on the TikToks and LinkedIn community. Hit us up at yourworkfriends.com. We're always posting stuff on there. And if you found this episode helpful, share with your work friends.
Bye,
Thanks, friend.
friend.